Okay, this is. But I haven't got to you yet. Okay. Okay, welcome. So we're gonna play a little game. I'm going to tell you about 4 people from history, and I want you to try to think of what they had in common. So, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, and Fidel Castro. If you guessed famous book lovers who turned into infamous dictators and then ordered books to be burnt, you would be correct. In 1822, famous German Jewish poet Heinrich Heine wrote these haunting words in his play Almansor. Where they burn books, they will in the end burn human beings too. According to Professor Shlomo Avineri, those words ended up being slightly prophetic, as Heine's works were the first to be burnt in Berlin by the Nazis in 1933. So, some people might say that burning books is a far cry from banning books, but in history it shows us that it's just a step away, as all of these dictators started banning books before they ordered them to be burnt. Today we're going to dive into what book banning looks like in America and its negative effects on society, what free access to books and knowledge can do for youth in our country, and what you can do about current book bans in your home state of Idaho. So, what do book bans look like in America? I've always heard that there's some confusion. Some people think that because you can still purchase a book that's been banned, it's not truly banned. But in America, if anything complete access has been taken away by a public or government entity, that book is considered banned. In 1982, the Supreme Court heard the case Board of Education, Island Trees Union Free School District number 26 versus PICO. So in this case, the students were suing the school district because the school district was trying to get rid of over 15 books that they didn't agree with the viewpoints in these books. Some of those were Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut and Go Ask Alice by Anonymous. So in this case, the Supreme Court did side with the students. They said that the school board couldn't ban books just because they didn't agree with the viewpoints. However, they said that the school board could ban or remove access to books that were pervasively vulgar or educationally unsuitable. So this broad language left the door open for directors and school boards to start removing books that they didn't like and removing access to them. In 2023, a survey was conducted of over 1,500 educators from every state in America, and all of these educators have 70% of their class is low income. So these students, the majority of their students, their only access to books is through the public library or public schools. In this survey, they responded, 81% said that restriction to book access harms students in a negative way. 72% said that when book access is restricted, that results in student engagement declining significantly when it comes to reading. 40% said that they believe that book bans contribute to the erasure of people in our history, and 36% said that book bans discourage critical thinking. So, it's also important to remember that for children, they use books for representation to find where they belong in the world. Alex Hodges, who's a librarian and director at the Gutman Library, says, "In this era of a tragic epidemic of child and teen suicides, which is especially high among those of marginalized identities, it's critically important for kids to see themselves represented in literature." That being said, in Idaho, we have over 100 books that have already been banned from our public schools and libraries. Some of those include The Giver, The Handmaid's Tale, Harry Potter, The Color Purple, Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, 100 Tales of Extraordinary Women, and Who Was Harriet Tubman? So, what does access to books look like? Harvard Education Magazine has an article titled "Book Bans and Librarians Who Won't Be Hushed." And in that, they're stated as saying, "Reading is essential to learning, which in turn is essential for an educated populace in a democracy. Children use books and the knowledge they gain from them to learn about identities, culture, and history. Some parents worry that children, when they read something, they'll automatically adopt that identity, which is not the case. Some kids might be seeking out LGBTQ books because they already know they're a part of that community, but some might be just looking to understand the people around them and expand their worldview. When books are banned, that censors information and it stunts critical thinking for children. If they're exposed to different viewpoints, that encourages them to become informed adults and informed voters. So it's more important for parents to have conversations with their own children about what age-appropriate material they're comfortable with them reading rather than forcing that on other parents and their children, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. But it is important to remember that, oh, sorry, I skipped a part. Another compromise that people might find is if some schools put some books behind a parent permission wall. So if it has content that's truly not age appropriate, they would need parents' permission to check it out, but that doesn't completely remove access for the book. But it's important to remember that just because a book is not to your taste, you don't like the viewpoints, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not age appropriate, doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be locked behind a wall. This is something, however, that is happening in Idaho currently due to House Bill 710 that was passed in 2024. So what is this bill and what can you do about it? House Bill 710 is strictly a censorship bill. It puts the onus on public schools and public libraries to deem what could be harmful to minors and remove that and put it behind an 18-only access. So the problem is that if someone from the public comes in and they see a book that has mental health representation or religion that they don't like or queer characters, they can say that that book is harmful to minors and sue the public library and get monetary gain from it. Public libraries aren't able to handle this. They are publicly funded, they have budgets, they don't have the ability to work in how much they might be sued by the public. What that's done is caused a lot of libraries to reject minors even being able to have library cards and completely taking away access to books for children. So and also Idaho is currently being sued by several major publishing giants, one of which is Random Penguin House, because the lawsuit states that this bill violates our constitutional rights for our First Amendment. So what you can do to help, you can call your state senators. Ours are Mike Crapo and James Reich. You can also go to the Unite Against Book Bans website. They have an action toolkit that has links to peaceful protests, grassroots organizations. They also have talking points if you want to talk to your senators about this bill and what you dislike about it. Books are essential to our youth's education, and we owe it to them as the adults in their lives to make sure that these books stay accessible. Remember that book bans stunt critical thinking and they remove representation that's essential for a child's mental health and well-being. Free access to books equals well-rounded kids, which turn into well-rounded and informed adults who can contribute positively to society, and it's your responsibility to make sure the government doesn't take that away from them. I'll leave you with the words of Texas House Representative John Rosenthal. Those who seek to burn books are never on the right side of history. Never. Did you hit end? Oh, I have to pan. Okay, hold on. Here we go again. And